It's Sunday evening once again. And of course, that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We got episode 93 coming your way. We're, of course, going to talk about Auburn homecoming weekend, a little bit of schedule news in the baseball and softball world, and of course, everybody's favorite segment, Auburn Potpourri. All that's coming up right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, times, people, places, and things, and homecoming events. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and of course, as is appropriate with this weekend, the Auburn family. Because it's about family, let's get our members of that unit in here. I'm your one co-host, Kyle, and second co-host alongside me, as always, your good friend of mine, Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, War Eagle Kyle, War Eagle to our listeners. Hope everyone's doing well and had a happy homecoming.
A happy homecoming it was. I hope everybody has felt all the feels, cried a little bit when they watched the videos of all the different things. We'll talk about in that main segment whether or not Kyle cried this time. That's like the goal of Auburn and War Eagle Productions every single year, it seems like. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. There is just way too much, Austin, to dive into this week. So let's not even waste anybody's time. Jump right into Auburn Potpourri and start talking about a few things. I'm going to do a little bit of a PSA to start off with, Austin, because you and I love to talk about the things in the Auburn, the actual experience part of it, the things outside of the X's and O's sports, what to wear for the games. We've got a very unique event this week, Austin, coming up. I believe this is the first ever attempt of what is being called and what is known on the uniforms as the Power Stripe. What does that mean? Most of you know they will tell you in the games, wear navy, wear orange, wear white, or whatever the theme is this year. That, what you are seeing on the screen right now, for those of you watching live, is the Power Stripe. You will know it from the way it looks on Auburn's uniforms. And good luck is all I got to say.
Good luck.
Everybody trying to figure out what you're supposed to wear when you're, if you're going to even be sitting in those segments. Okay, Austin, let me just start here. I love the idea.
Yeah.
Can it work?
No, this is not gonna work. I shouldn't say that. It's gonna work generally. As in like I think people will be able to tell when they look at it.
Right.
But I got a couple issues with it in execution. And I know, look, I
know exactly where you're going.
A marketing and creative guy at heart. I totally get it. I think if there is a way to pull this off perfectly, it would be great. But my first issue is student section. Usually when we do these kind of things, student section is just kind of like, even if it's like the stripe, like student section, they just put them all in blue or put them all in orange. Like it's, even though it's not perfectly aligned or equal, it's just hard now because there's not assigned seats, right?
Sure.
So it's going to take some planning for students on this one and some execution if they really want to get it right. Then the other problem I have is we're doing this on Arkansas game, and the away sections are supposed to be blue. That's going to contrast a little bit. It's worth a shot. I think it'll look cool if they can pull it off and pull it off enough. Now, will there be T-shirts in the student section?
That is how you pull this off.
That's how you do it. That's a lot of T-shirts. I understand that, but that's how it would work, I think.
I love the concept. I think in its first iteration, it will appear, and there will be an attempt. How well that attempt went off, only time is going to tell. Correct. But certainly, as we sit at the beginning of a new game week, heading towards Arkansas game, we wanted to bring this up so you all had an opportunity to see it. Good luck, and hopefully you and I will be talking about a roaring success with the Power Stripe come this time next week when we're doing the next podcast. Let's keep moving through our topics here, and the big one of this week that I know everybody wants us to talk about, because other than a football game, this was the big announcement. Back again after a 1-year hiatus, I believe. 1-year hiatus.
I think just one, yeah.
Tip-off at Tumors, if I could talk, is back again. You can see the image put up there from Auburn Athletics. Obviously, Aubie doing his thing, dribbling through his legs. And we've got also another special event that's going to be happening with this October 17th. basketball comes back to Toomer's Corner. I love this event, Austin. I hate it when it hasn't happened some years. I also hate it when weather gets in the way. That's the trouble with trying
Yes.
to play a basketball game on a slick court outside, even if it doesn't rain, if there's humidity. We want to keep our players safe. So every year they've made this a little bit better. They've tried to find ways to kind of build upon it and make it better overall. It's coming back. I know if you have the availability, you'll try to make it as well. But your thoughts on the return of Tip Off at Toomer's?
Yeah, I really like it. I was really excited to hear it's back. You and I usually meet up at these events. I think
It's
we've been together a couple times
the
for them.
first time we ever met was
That's
here.
true. In person. That is
You
very true.
you were a creeper and walked up behind me, and I was like, "Who is this joker?"
That's
So,
right. And you were like, wow, he's a lot shorter than I thought he was.
uh,
Um,
you sounded
but
short.
it is a lot of fun. I'm with you. There's been weather issues multiple times with this, and not to cancel it completely, but they've eliminated the dunk contest a couple
Right,
times, and
which is what people
rightfully
want.
so.
Yeah.
Yes. But I'm excited for this. I like that it is a festival type this year. I like that it is starting at about 5 o'clock and going. I think the artist that's singing the concert, Cole Swindell, is going on at 8:15. So it
Yep.
is going to be a long night on a Thursday night, but brings lots of people to downtown. Lots of shops will be open, and everybody will be around downtown. It'll be a really cool vibe for this kind of thing. So I'm really excited for it. Outside of just the basketball part in general, I think the basketball part will be awesome. I
Yeah.
love that it's always men's and women's. I think
Yeah.
the women's team has become so much more popular than when they first started this event, and so I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. Is that the bye week, or I know they're away, or if they're playing, but is that the bye week?
That is the bye week if I'm not. Ooh, hold on. 17th. So that
Fifth
would
is.
not be a bye week. That would not be the bye week if I'm not mistaken on that. I should know this
But
off the
we
top
will
of
be
my.
out of town,
We
so
will
it
be out
doesn't
of
really
town.
matter. But
I do hate that it's not on a game day week, and I understand why at
whoa,
home.
Kyle. Oh,
I
the
know,
logistics, Kyle.
but I love crowds and I
I
love
know.
everybody. I
I
get it.
know. It would be
Um,
awesome, but oh my gosh, my head hurts just thinking about it.
and on a Thursday evening. Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I
that
know.
that did surprise me a little bit.
It's what they've always done, and I know there's reasons for that, and you can probably think of some of them. But real quick, just
Sure.
a real quick
No,
rundown.
that's very true.
Festival all day, 5:30. Tumors Festival will tip off at Tumors Festival will really kick off. The tip off event will start at 6:30. Autograph sessions along College Street at 7:30. Cole
Oh
Swindell
wow.
at 8:15. 9:45. Everybody's out of there. So tip off at Tumors back again. You know that we will be talking about it a ton after the event. And of course, I will be there, and we'll see if we can get Austin there to creep up behind me like he did in the past with the feet to the creepy fingers right there. All right, let's keep talking about this. And I know love people. I love people, of course. People love to talk about recruiting, and it's been a little bit of a lull as of late with football recruiting, specifically when you talk about some of the high points that we had leading up to the season in the summer. We finally got another commit for the 2025 class. We're going to throw his image up here on screen, and I apologize in advance for all of the different people that I don't think you'll be offended, but you'll be like, whoa, that's a man right there. We've got Elijah Melendez who has committed. Whoa, hello. We have, this is obviously from Hayes Fawcett on three, and the way we could blow it up there on the screen for you, literally. But a linebacker for 2025 coming to be part of the class. Do you think Austin, first of all, obviously I want your thoughts on him, but do you think this is going to be the beginning of another cycle of fun times for Auburn recruiting in 2025?
Well, I think he could snap me like a toothpick looking at him like that. I'm not sure
Right.
we even need to make him wear a jersey. I think he'll get to the quarter.
Just walk him out
He'll,
there.
he'll get to the quarterback and without one, and it'll be intimidating enough. No, I think it's awesome. I think this is a guy who flipped from Miami, and I think
Yep.
he's if I remember correctly, I think that he is an edge rusher that Auburn's been after for a while. So that you can never have too many edge rushers or pass rushers. So I'm excited
Yep.
for him. And then, I hope that it is a string for Auburn. I think that there's a couple probably closer than others. And some maybe people have expected to have already happened. But we're waiting on it, and it doesn't really matter at this point. It's the long game, and until they sign the dotted line, as we are
Yep.
very reminding of you here, it really doesn't matter. So, but good to have him in the boat, and hopefully he becomes a recruiter for us as well.
Patience, our young Padawans. Patience is
Mm,
a virtue. Be happy with what you got here. Another flip for the Auburn Tigers from another prominent program. That's the name of the game in I guess technically year 3 of recruiting for Hugh Freeze, flipping people from every which way, SEC and otherwise. I want to do a very quick rundown of how volleyball and soccer are currently doing. Volleyball did just take their very first loss, but it was to a highly ranked opponent up in Minnesota. And
correct.
I heard Coach talk this week a lot about how prominent that program is. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm just up on everybody in volleyball. I know Auburn volleyball, but it was a tough opponent for them. And while we're sad to see that undefeated record go away from them, you kind of expected this in your first true test on the road. So I wasn't surprised by it. I don't think you would have been either.
No, and I mean it's a long season with a lot of games. It's kind of like baseball; you don't expect to win them all, but I love to see that Auburn went on the road and took a test like that. I think that we've talked at length about the men's basketball non-conference schedule. I think that can only help you in early parts of the season. So
Right.
good for them. I'm sure they'll bounce back.
And also, soccer is still undefeated, unscathed throughout
Yeah,
the entirety of non-conference play, including a major upset earlier in the week. I mean, we knew that we were going to have a solid season, as we typically do under Coach Karen Hoppe. Is the model of consistency. But I don't know that we all considered undefeated and a lot of upsets in non-conference play. But now it's going to get tough in SEC play. But
sure.
what a pleasant surprise for all of this.
Absolutely. The Hopper Revenge Tour rolls on, and we couldn't be more excited. I can't wait to see this team in SEC play.
I know this is going to be so exciting to watch it. I will be able to watch a few of those games coming up here very soon. So be looking for content from us as we visit those games from E2C Network across all social media. Final notes in Auburn potpourri, just some fun little things. If you didn't know, if you love you some Cardwell, that being Dylan Cardwell, well, you're going to get some more of him because his brother is now part of the team, Drake Cardwell. That came across social media this week. So good. We love us some any Cardwell we can get. And so if we can continue that family legacy, Auburn's all about family. So that makes a lot of
Oh yeah.
sense. And Isaac Okoro, just as of us going live on this evening a few hours ago, got a new 3-year extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers, that being former Auburn great Isaac Okoro and top 5 NBA draft pick. That is Auburn potpourri. Now let's start talking about the big things that happened this week in Auburn news. And you got to start the week off with talking about homecoming. Isn't it?
Mm.
When you hear the word homecoming, what does that mean to you, Austin?
Coming home.
I was hoping for a little bit more.
Kyle's
You
tears, the orange and blue pride,
all the
floats,
things.
parade
Floats.
floats.
Parade floats. By the way, there's a video out now from E2C Network if you'd like to go see all the floats and pictures. So
I didn't get to see him in person this year. It really broke my heart. So I got to watch the video and I really appreciated it.
can we just address why you probably didn't get to watch the video, among other things?
Well, I did watch the video.
Oh, I'm sorry, not the video, but you can see him in person. And I'm
Oh
surprised
yeah.
that many people did because did y'all hear that it rained in Auburn or something?
Cats and dogs. It
Or
rained everywhere.
or wolves and tigers, if you want to have a lame dad joke
Yes.
in there. It rained wolves
It's
and
okay.
tigers.
Yeah,
I
it's
tried.
okay.
It's not working very well for me.
Lobos and tigers.
Lobos and tigers. Why? That's just weird. Like, and they do this little like doing something like it's like this or
Yep,
something like
yep,
that.
yep, yep.
Like,
Yep, yep.
that's almost as embarrassing as Woo Pig Suey. Like, I get
Oh,
to
well,
make
you'll
fun of
get
that.
that this week.
I know. Homecoming week, we want to talk about all of it, not just the game. There's definitely a big storyline with that we'll get to in just a second. Huge amount of rain, but once again, got to give props to the Auburn family for showing up. And even if your tailgating was, I want to say ruined, but really severely impacted, which it clearly was from my very few walks I was able to take around campus trying to check everything out. They showed up and toughed it out for the most part, even during the middle of another one of those moments where we get to sing "Have You Ever Seen the Rain"
Yep.
in the stadium. And did you make it through that, Austin?
Yes, at that point I had moved to some safer cover from the rain and heard it and saw it. Obviously, no delays. Very thankful for no delays.
Yes.
But yeah, that's one of those, they've got the button ready, right? They know the weather's coming and they're just waiting on the right time. And it started pouring
Yep.
right as they, or right after they clicked it. And it
Yep.
was since West Virginia, that one will never be topped.
Yeah, that's one I got to experience as a student, and
Mm,
that's what it's always going to be compared to. But
correct.
it's always nice to see the students get super excited when they get the chance to have a little bit of a smidgen of that moment on a special day like Auburn homecoming. Events all throughout the weekend mainly, the parade, pep rally, those videos are out there now if you want to go check those out. And especially I was happy that this Friday when the parade and pep rally were happening that the rain held off for the
Yep.
most part as long as it did, because great crowd showed up there again. The one I don't think you were there, Austin, but it felt like the parade this year went much faster than it has previously because they wrap around Thatch or come from Thatch back behind Toomer's Corner, and then come, back down College Street. The band came and like they literally like intersected when they came back around on the square, and that's never happened before
Oh,
in my
wow.
mind.
Yeah.
We all were kind of like, what's going to happen here? Like, how is this going to, because they've got to go where the rest of the floats are still
Yeah.
coming through. It was a very fun event. And once again, I think, you get to see Obby, you get to see parts of the
Yes.
community, sororities, fraternities, all the good stuff. It's one of my favorite traditions for Auburn homecoming.
Yes, my wife, the kids, and my mother-in-law all got to go, and very much enjoyed it. I heard that Aubie was seen,
It
and
was
it was very an exciting moment for the twins. We are big, 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 big Aubie fans right now, and so that was a highlight. But it sounded like it went really well. It was smooth. We love
right.
to hear that.
No, I listen, it went about as well as it could have given all the issues with the weather. And, I would say that I cried this year when you watch the homecoming videos, but you really couldn't tell because of all the tears of rain rolling down
Well,
my
there you
face
go.
all
That's a
day.
good
So
cover.
I'm going to say this year that it didn't happen just because of the rain. You can't
Some chill
prove me
bumps, though. Some chill
chill
bumps,
bumps,
definitely.
raised like, the hair
Neck
stands
hair.
on,
Yep.
out on the end of your arms and all that. That's weird. Why are we talking about these things?
It was a
That
good video, though.
It was a good video. And definitely all the good feels from being at homecoming. Let's talk about the game. I know that's what mostly people want us to discuss. The big story. What can Brown do for you? And I'm not just talking about Hank Brown.
What can Brown do?
Times two, the reemergence of Camden Brown. I know he didn't have like the most yards in the world, but Brown to Brown on the first touchdown connection for the two of them, first one for him, at that being Hank Brown as starting quarterback. This was the big story all week. This was the big discussion point. We need this to happen. We want this to happen. What's going to happen? What do you think? What are your impressions about debut for Hank Brown on homecoming game?
Yeah, I mean, it was the big story all week, right? It was what will Hank Brown do? How will he do as the starter? How will the team react and adapt to a new quarterback? I thought he did pretty well. I mean, he got a heck of a rainy day for his first start, which
Yeah.
never makes something easy for the quarterback.
Right.
But I think it was good to see someone else and good to see how he handled the offense. I thought that the play calling, truthfully, was better and more adjusted for a first time starting quarterback.
And
Um,
conditions as well.
Absolutely. And so I think that overall he did really well. I was really interested to see in the first half. It looked like a lot of the offense was called for him in terms of here's your one read and it's there. Quick throw,
Right.
get it out. That's your guy. So I was happy to see kind of in the second half more progressions and him able to scan the field, look through the reads, what's the best option and get it there. And I think he did. So I think all of that is exciting to see. I talked a little bit in our Conquer crew that or Conquer Club that New Mexico was known for a terrible defense.
Yes.
So I'm not going to sit here and say that Peyton Thorne wouldn't have done the same thing against the New Mexico. I don't know that. We never will because he didn't play.
Right.
But Hank Brown did, and that's what matters most, I think. And
Yep.
so it will get harder. Arkansas will be tougher because they are in the SEC and they have more talent, just
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yeah.
So everyone will need to step up. But I thought Hank Brown did admirably for his first time, and Jordan Hare 4 touchdowns of 4 different people. You can't complain about that.
No, you can't. It's any environment as your first start is going to be a little bit tough at the college level, even if it's at home, because there's the excitement, there's the jitters. I want to prove myself, all that kind of stuff. Thought he handled himself very well. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but kept himself out of trouble, made some great plays, got everybody excited, lived up to the hype for a lot of people. What I will say on that topic, and I think I want to put perspective on for people, let's not do this again, folks. Let's not overplay our hands. Let's not put too much on the kid too soon. Let's put things into perspective and talk about reality. We've got an opportunity where we've seen Peyton Thorne against an opponent that you should have done what you did to him. And same thing here with Hank Brown. And I'm thankful that both those did that. You've got a game with Peyton Thorne where he was against a much stronger defense, and it showed. Now, I would argue Hank has an even harder task, an SEC, at least on talent, defense, whether it's actually a better defense overall. So this, after I feel like the next game, we're going to have a really good assessment of the two of them on what is best for the team going forward. But for now, the focus should be on celebrating Hank Brown, his opportunity, him making the most of it, and getting behind this kid and giving your full support, as you should every single player.
Well, and I think too, it really helped. I thought the offensive play calling was truthfully better. I thought there were a lot more checkdowns that would have been and checkdowns, but also quicker routes that would have helped Peyton Thorne too. So I think it was a much learning week for the entire Auburn offensive staff. There was a lot of depth that had to be shown on the offensive line, rotated in and out. So this, I know everybody loves to give the quarterback all the credit and all the blame, but this offense is far from a finished product.
Yep.
And it's still going to be a work in progress, no matter who's taking snaps.
I want to give one more shout out, and then we'll talk about the thing that was probably the bad thing of the day, if there's anything to complain about. Jarquez Hunter, so glad to see him out there. I mean, I turned around and the dude was over 100 rushing yards, and I was like, when did that happen? So this is what we know of Jarquez, right? He's athletic, he's strong, he's fast, he's the complete package, and this is what he should be doing against this type of opponents. I know he was itching to have a game like this. So refreshing to see. And that's what the crowd wanted. Everybody wanted them to run the ball, right?
And a heck of a 1-2 punch with Damari Alston, who had 80 yards and a touchdown. The rushing attack, that is, I know we all want to see the receivers and see the deep balls and see the flashy stuff, but the rushing attack hasn't always been the threat at Auburn. So I'm excited to see that kind of leaned into too.
And I want to say something really quick. Jarquez, Damari, Keontae, I haven't forgot about you either. Guys, you're upperclassmen. Let's hang on to that football, no matter the conditions. I'm just saying.
Hang on that ball, Petey.
Let's hang on the ball. Last thing, complete juxtaposition to the last game. Defense was not good in this game. There's no two bones about it. Hugh said it. He even he said he felt like he could speak for DC Durkin and say that he was not happy with it either. I think you could probably tell, if you were up there in the booth with him, that he was probably none too happy with it. This is a challenging offense that they face with a challenging quarterback. Some would say the next week is going to be even more so. Aren't you glad that we got tested and at least I'm going to say exposed, but like shown what we have to work on for next week? In my book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think everybody coming in this week was like, well, the defense isn't a problem. After only giving up 21 points to Cal last week and just 7 in the
second half.
Second half. Thank you. I think that I don't know if that was the same mentality of the defense itself. I can't say that for sure, but I think that this offense of New Mexico definitely gave them fits, and that is concerning to a level when you think about the talent level of New Mexico versus what they'll see in the SEC all season long. I do think that it matters that they still made adjustments, only allowing 6 points in the second half this week. Why can I not think about second half? Second half this week.
I mean, you got going on. I'm just going to let you dig down.
That matters to be able to make those adjustments. You'd like to say they have 6 days of prep, so why is the plan not already better? I did find it interesting that Coach Free said post game they showed some stuff was not on tape. We had never seen before, didn't know they were going to do. I think you'll have a better benefit to see Arkansas's tape because they've played a ranked team already. They probably should have won the game, and then they struggled with UAB this weekend. So they everything should be on the table for them. Everything for the most part should be on the table for them. And it's a good offense with a good quarterback. Taylor Green has been very impressive this year. I've been very impressed with him. And whatever you think about him and however you view Bobby Petrino, he's an offensive mind that can get some good stuff out of dual threat quarterback. So it's going to be a tough game for Auburn, a tough game for DJ Durkin and the defensive staff. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good one, but Auburn's going to have their hands full.
Yep, and thankful that we had an opportunity to have some things tested this week that can clearly be cleaned up by the time that we get there. But outside of that, game went off, at least at the end of it, very, very good. Thankfully, we don't have to run with having lost to New Mexico State and New Mexico. You know, the Bama fans were just salivating over
Oh,
that
yeah.
potential opportunity, continually to show that we live rent-free in their heads forever and ever. Game was great. Weekend, even with the weather, was great. It's always good to be home, especially for homecoming. And once again, we'll continue to think about the times that will be coming up next year as we march towards the next homecoming and us gushing and Kyle probably crying about the video next year. I want us to talk about now some more schedule news. Now, we've talked a lot about basketball schedules. We've even, in the not too distant past, talked about some football schedules that are going to be coming up in a year or so. But now that there's football set in, there's basketball on the horizon, we're going to have less and less opportunities to talk about our baseball and our softball programs. But this week, we got a glimpse at the future for this season. And seems to be the new pattern, I think, for at least SEC schedules. They're going to separate it out, announce the non-conference schedule, announce the SEC opponents, then the times or dates or things like however they want to spread it out. Do you like this, Austin? I mean, I guess it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, maybe they're doing it just for us.
Exactly.
I don't think it doesn't really matter to me. I think now we have the whole schedule, right, and plenty of time before the season, and so I think that's what I care about the most. But it seems like it's just a way to keep the program in mind all year long, which is good. I'm all for that.
It's good to have those conversation pieces. So we will take a look at baseball and softball and kind of walk through that, some things that stick out with us. Let's start with baseball and talk about their SEC slate for the year. We have got some exciting games coming up for you, some exciting matches here, and you can see here on our screen now dates, opponents, and locations for that. Let me just do a quick read for you. I won't go the dates. We'll just talk about opponents and where they are. It'll be at home versus Vanderbilt, on the road at Kentucky, on the road at Georgia, at home versus Alabama, LSU, going to Austin, Texas to take on the Longhorns. That's going to be tough. Back home versus Mississippi State. Good ties there with Butch Thompson. Back on the road to Knoxville, Tennessee, take on the Volunteers. Back at home versus South Carolina. And then we will finish the season at Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. Now, Auburn baseball playing in the SEC, there are no weekends off.
No shot.
I see nothing on that schedule based on what I know from last year's SEC and what the SEC typically is in baseball. Is there any reprieve that you see on that list, Austin, that we have there?
No, definitely not. I was even trying to look at it and be like, all right, which one's easier, home or away slate? And there's no answer. I mean, home, you're excited because you've got a ton of great teams coming that will have, Vanderbilt, Alabama, LSU, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. Those are going to be sellouts very quickly, right? Like that will all be, I'm sure that the ticket staff will be pushing that hard, but it will not take them long to sell that out. And then to go to so many great venues, Kentucky, Georgia is going to be loaded this year. We get to go to Texas. I think we kind of talked about that in our basketball slate. It seems like when we're playing one of the new ones, we get Oklahoma, but we're having to go to Texas.
Right.
I think that's really cool. That'll be a great experience. Obviously, going to Tennessee is always going to be interesting and fun. And then at Ole Miss to end the year is a great baseball stadium, great baseball fans. And so, there is no weekends off, and it is going to be tough the entire year. But that, like you said, that's life in SEC baseball.
I see nothing that
Nothing.
Auburn fans should look at and go, oh, that's a weekend off. even the ones at home. Yeah, are there teams that maybe are a little bit not as potent as they used to be? But you're going to face the defending national champions in Knoxville, Tennessee, and with the most annoying head coach possible. I still don't understand. He may be a great baseball mind, but I don't understand how. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that road. I shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Let's save that for the week of April, whatever.
Yeah, we got a long way to there, and I can get my thoughts more well rounded for that. I think to me, having Alabama, obviously, I love to see it at closer to the end of the year. That would be nice. But the
Sure.
fact that we get them at Plainsman Park, they can see what a real baseball stadium looks like as it's being built up into a premier world class place to play. Because I don't know, I would have just yeah, if their basketball plane hanger is any indication, I can imagine we're miles ahead of them in that category. And obviously, Mississippi State coming to town, Butch Thompson being a former assistant coach for them. I know that's been ages now, so I guess we shouldn't even really mention it that much, but that's got some feels with it as well. Here's what I know and what we've already said a lot. What a challenge for Auburn
Yes.
baseball, but you are going to be treated to some great baseball because I do believe that this team is going to improve. I do believe that this season will be better. Last year was such an anomaly. So if nothing else, be excited for the opportunity to see some great baseball teams and an Auburn team that might, you just never know, surprise some people. We're going to talk about the other side of the diamond now because we got SEC schedules there too. Let's talk about Auburn softball and the ladies of that diamond and what they have coming up for this slate. On the screen now, you'll see again dates, opponent, and location. Here is your quick rundown of everything. At Mississippi State, home versus Texas A&M, at Texas, so both baseball and softball going to Texas. Back at home versus Florida, at Kentucky, home Georgia, at Tennessee, home South Carolina, and then of course they've also got the SEC tournament listed, and you can remember that as well for baseball if you qualify for it. That's why it's a little bit different there. But there is your opponents for Auburn softball, the SEC schedule that's out there right now. Austin, what sticks out to you the most from this?
Yeah, super interesting. Can we get that back up there one more time, Jesse?
Sure.
Sorry. Super. I mean, I like the fact that I had the other one pulled up, but it didn't like show it in order.
Don't you love technology?
I do. I do. I love that Florida's at home. Like that's always going to be one of those big ones that Auburn fans look forward to, and any SEC program looks forward to. They haven't been what they've been, but that's one that has history with Auburn, especially. Yeah, I'm looking at this, Kyle, and I just don't see any weekends off either. Right? Like it will be fascinating for the program to go to Texas for the first time.
Yep.
But I mean, it is every other weekend you have a home series, and every other weekend you're on the road. It will not be easy throughout the entirety of it, but it looks awesome for the new coaches. I love that they're going back to Tennessee, so that'll be kind of an interesting conundrum for them, or not conundrum, but scenario for them to get to go back.
It'll be emotional because that's been a home for them forever. Yeah.
Right.
So you've got that storyline with Tennessee. The Malveaus, obviously our co-head coaches, Chris and Kate Malveaux, returning there to go and face their place that they were forever and where their pedigree, in a sense, I know they went other places, was built. Who also is missing from this list? I know some other teams are as well,
right. Yeah.
But who's missing from this list?
Gosh, that's just bizarre. That's happened before, I know, with softball, but I don't understand that at all.
It is. Let me just say this to anyone that is entrusted with putting an SEC schedule together. If there's rule number one, it should be Auburn and Alabama. I don't care where. You can go put us in the Gulf of Mexico. They need to face off. It doesn't matter what sport it is. It's TV gold or money-making gold. The fervor is there, whether you want to get people all riled up and call it the Iron Bowl of X, even though some people get really up in the arms about
Twitter?
that.
Iron Bowl of Twitter?
Iron Bowl of Twitter or whatever.
You said Iron Bowl of X, so I'd never heard of that before.
Lord, here he goes with the dad jokes again. Alabama not on the list, but there's
Very
also
weird.
one other important team not on this list, Austin. Who is it? Are you blanking? Think about
maybe I'm blanking.
Who do you not want to face in SEC base softball? Oklahoma.
Oh, you're right. Yep. Oh,
See,
yeah.
look,
I didn't even think about it.
you,
I'm not used to the logos not being there yet.
exactly. So here's the thing. You obviously have the opportunity to face them in the SEC tournament, postseason play, if everybody makes it that far.
Mm,
Thank goodness. Because
right.
look, they are a steam rolling machine right now. If you don't want to face someone, thank you for keeping us
Yes.
out of Oklahoma's schedule. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like when I saw that come across my desk essentially this week, I was like, thank you. You did something right. You also did something wrong in the Alabama lack of it on our particular schedule. If you had to pick, I guess I'd pick my probably biggest one's going to be Tennessee. Florida at
Yeah.
home will probably be good as well. But no matter how you slice it, exciting schedules on the diamond, whether we're talking about softball, whether we're talking about baseball, it's going to be a good one in the SEC, no matter the sport, because what does it mean, Austin?
It just means more money.
That's very well played. You're on your toes for that one. That's going to do it for this episode of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 93. We are creeping towards 100, and we're super excited to get to that milestone. Thank you for tuning into this one, though. If you want to keep up with me, you can do so on X, apparently Iron Bowl of X, at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott's where you can find me. Go see how many days I last saw an Auburn football win in person on my X, and you'll find the answer.
And now you've given everybody the tools they need to blame every loss on you. You did that to yourself,
Bring it on.
not me. I think there's some correlation there. That's all I'll say on that point. With that being said, thank you for tuning in, listening, however you got here, whenever you got here. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that is the live recording portion of our show. Thank you so much for joining us for that. We really appreciate you guys being in the chat, hanging out with each other and waiting for us to get wrapped up here. We're going to move into Q&A now time. Austin, do you want to stay or do you need to run off from us? Your choice, sir.
I'll stay for just a little bit.
Okay. Well, if there's anything that you see that you want to be brought up and bring that up or just let me know, we'll bring it up in a second, or we can just talk about anything, but drop some comments and questions in now if you'd like to, while you're thinking about some of those things. Let me give you just a quick rundown of reminders for what's coming up next. It's not as long of a list as it was last week because we had a lot for homecoming, as we talked about to discuss, but I do want to give you a reminder, some things if you missed it, you definitely want to go check out Homecoming Parade. It's out there now. And we had a pretty cool view with Sanford Hall in the background there. So go check that out. Homecoming Pep Rally. That's out there. Don't have these up available for you, but we've got way more than just these two out there already and coming out there over the next coming days. We've got the band performance and, of course, the homecoming court videos. Just sit back, folks. Kyle's going to be a content producing machine the next couple of days. But our next scheduled live stream we have available for you is going to be this Wednesday, the Auburn Family Night, the best night of the week, as some people would say here in our audience. They love to give me crap for I call this the flagship show, and they think that's the flagship show. It has been around the longest. This Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it if you want to take part in that. Okay, let's get into some discussions. Let's see if anybody had anything during the show that we can talk about. Quentin says, "What's up, Kyle? I feel good against Arkansas, but our defense worrying me. My boy K. Scott needs to go back to nickel." A lot of opinions about Keontae Scott, where he needs to be, where he doesn't need to be. What I will join in everybody with is either we got to have 100,000 reps every week as catching the ball with it being wet as well, as it was this week, or we need to probably give someone else an opportunity, because I saw that one coming a mile away. And I love him back there. He's so dynamic.
There was one other time where I was like, it was raining harder than that, and I was like, they don't need to even try and field this. There's no sense in them doing it. Yeah, I've seen a lot about Keontae Scott not playing corner and going back to nickel. And in the same vein, I've seen Wise Jalen McLeod dropping into coverage off the edge. Without getting too X and O's, it feels like that's just DJ Durkin's scheme, and that is how his defense works. I'm not going to say that he needs to change it. That's not for me to decide. But I think that, that might be one of the things they look at this week going into SEC play and how that changes up. Because I think those guys are special talents in what they do. But I don't think that's the only problem. But I think that those things are definitely puzzling. But we'll see how it goes throughout the season. I'm sure those guys are adjusting to that role as well.
This is another angle on that topic. Was the defense just being vanilla and not trying to show their cards, thus putting themselves in a situation? I love that if that was the reason.
I think they probably showed a lot of versatility, though. So,
yeah, I would have loved if that was the reason, but I do think that they just had a talented running quarterback and just gave us a few fits. I talked about this in the post games. Right? How many balls did the quarterback just throw into the air and it magically come down? Like I felt like am I wrong?
No, you're right. They were dropping in perfectly. I mean, and it wasn't like it was step into it perfect dime. It was just balls floating. Now, I think our coverage can be better in some areas, but my goodness, I mean, the balls were dropping into bread baskets all night long. And props to the kid. The kid was a very incredible talent, athletic talent, but I've never seen anything like it.
There was one throw where he literally like runs forward and like starts to he jumps in the air and like then threw it like for like a bomb down the field. And there was one play that he did that kind of little hop jump pass thing again, but on a dart. And if his guy catches it, that guy is gone. I mean, it hit him square here. And that was going to be all she wrote on that one. He was just hitting his receivers in very opportune.
Yep. He was impressive.
Awkward places. How similar is Arkansas's quarterback to New Mexico's? I think a very mobile quarterback will give us trouble with an experience in the defensive backfield. Thoughts?
Yeah, the kid's very athletic. He came from Boise State. Jokes are there. Taylon Green, though, is tall and athletic. So, I mean, he can run, he can throw. He's pretty good. I think he's going to probably give Auburn fits, but you got 6 days to prep for him, and this will be the most talented defense he's faced. I'm confident in that. I don't care that they went to overtime with Oklahoma State. It's Oklahoma State and the Big 12, and defense is not in the vocabulary there. So I think this will be the most talented defense he's faced and the most hostile environment. So I'm looking forward to it. But I mean, the kid's good.
Our old ball coach is in the house, Brian Harson. We need to improve our containment and pursuit angles on the D line. So why didn't you do that? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
you got a couple typos there. You're not the real Brian.
You're not the real Brian Harson.
I agree that the angles that I do not think we took a right angle at not 90 degrees. We did not take the correct angle all night long when it came to chasing the quarterback. It was very weird, but it was like, guys, he's going to keep moving. You can't go to that spot where he was. So very interesting, Coach Harson. Good observation.
What happened when you were here? Sorry, I said, listen,
a potato on me.
I'm not one of those that loves to jump on the hate Harson bandwagon, but I do like to have some fun with it at his expense from time to time, especially when he makes it a little bit easier. I want to use this comment to point out what I thought was my favorite throw of Hank Brown's night. Hank Brown checked down to the pass to Hunter for a touchdown was nice. He had a few really good passes last night, whether they were touchdowns or not. But I want to call out the touchdown. First of all, I love that we got a lot of people involved. Michael Riley Ducker. I keep saying Riley Ducker.
He dropped it. Yep.
It's Riley now. Got to get used to that. But that throw, he gets pressured. I know, shocker. A quarterback for Auburn being pressured. But he runs out. And he was a little panicky on it. You could tell by it, but kept his eyes downfield. And finally, outside or behind the defender in the end zone, you see Michael Riley coming and just drifting. He's still behind the defender at this point. But if you watched on the replay, you saw him do this pass where it's almost like you just do like a little flick on the end of it that made it kind of do a little bit of extra spin. And it just, he throws it obviously in the direction of the defender, but it starts fading away just into Michael Riley's hands. I thought that was the best throw of this night. That was the one I went, wow, about.
Yeah. And that was the first one that I was like, okay, we heard a lot about how he's not as athletic as Peyton. He can't make a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Magic?
Yeah, Magic can't really. It starts with I. Innovate. I don't want to say
Innovate.
innovate.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with innovate on
Okay,
that.
sure. Innovate. It can't do a lot when it comes to when things break down. But that play especially was for Damari. Damari rolled out, and it was going to be a little toss pass to the halfback rolling out, and that wasn't there. They sniffed it out perfectly. Mike Raleigh's in the back. To WT's point about the check down with Turquoise Hunter too, I thought that was a point I kind of made in the show about the check down when Hunter was in the middle of the field. Those were the kind of plays that were not there a week ago. Like those plays were not called, and I think that could have benefited Thorne or whoever's playing quarterback. So I'm really excited to see that maybe the offensive improvised. Thank you, coach. Who's kind of the offense play calling is kind of evolving with that as well. And so we'll see how that goes on. I thought Hank had some good throws. I know it's the sexy throw that everybody likes to talk about, but that bomb he had to Keandre Lambert Smith
It's perfect.
in stride was perfect. It
But see,
step for step was perfect, and I was not expecting to see something like that from Hank that early in the rain, something like that.
that's what we've heard about him coming out of practice. Coaches talked about
You're
that
right.
he's got a great deep ball, but that doesn't take away from the great play of it. I think
Correct.
for me, why I love that other play I described so much is because we haven't heard that type of play talked about, because that's probably an area where Peyton's a little bit better, whether or
Yes.
not he completes the pass, but he's able to elude, he's able to create. It's kind of like Bo Nix was
To
having
improvise.
to improvise, as Coach Harson said. I think that, to me, with that just that light little touch, was like, okay, that's what I wanted to see out of Hank tonight. I know you can throw the deep ball. I know you're going to throw it because it seems like that's what you like to do. So I expected that when it just dropped in there. I was like, oh, duh. That pass I really loved. I want to bring this up because we always love to hear, where did it go? I lost it. It was about the New Mexico State fans. There we go. It's
New
Reddit.
Mexico.
I did
Don't bring them
I
up.
know. It's literally like the back call for Alabama. Somebody said New Mexico State. Somebody.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. If I had it ready, I would have said it or brought it up on the screen. Several Reddit stories, take it for what it's worth, of Auburn fans treating the New Mexico State fans well, having good experiences. That's what we love to hear. I think Cal fans, for the most part, especially with winning, felt good about their time here. This is what we want, folks. We want the collective opinion, not all of it, because nobody's going to have a great experience all the time, especially if they misbehave, and they deserve what they get. But we love to hear things like that. If you have time, we have time for maybe like one more question, new question, if you have it out there. Anything, Austin, that we haven't talked about tonight that you'd like to address before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Something you and I can talk about in planning is the Graduate opened this weekend or this week. Oh, okay. Now
No. I know where your mind's going. That's not, but I'm just,
okay.
I want to give some content about that at some point.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. Well, you know, have to check that out. But I did see lots of pictures of the supper club opening up on top, which is a cool piece of Auburn experience. So we'll have to check that out. No, I haven't even looked at the weather for this week. It's official. We're at 2:30 on ESPN.
It is
Right. So
yes, it is 2:30. So 2:30s in a row for us.
let's look at the weather right now. Wait, no, not in a row.
Isn't Oklahoma?
Oh yeah, Oklahoma. I was thinking this past week.
Come on, we're not going in the past anymore, Austin.
Or full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. Yeah, I wanted to go to the Graduate this weekend. The weather kept me away.
Yep.
Timing with the weather kept me away. It just didn't. I thought about today doing that. I had a little bit of excitement this morning. Our refrigerator died, and I got the call at 6:30 this morning while I was in Auburn. So it got a little bit tough. You're breaking up just a little bit, but I think we're getting you back. What were you looking up there? No, you're good now. You're good now.
Oh, I was just looking up the weather for this weekend. 87, 65. No rain.
It's gone up a little bit since then, so it's going to get even warmer.
Yeah,
it could be worse
nice one.
In terms of the heat, but at least it'll be sunny. And I think the green space out there on the old Tent City lawn is. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, this is not something to walk on this week, students. I would steer clear.
I I think that's the worst I've ever seen it, and I've seen some pretty bad ones. It was pretty awful when I went
Got
past it today.
torn up.
Toe up from the flow up. All right, final note here, and this is funny. Kyle has an admirer when he does his post-game shows, may need to become an Uber driver soon. Austin, I know it was too late for you.
This isn't a ghost. You had a friend though?
This was an actual live person that
Oh,
thought I was his Uber driver and tried to get my attention in the mobile broadcast studio, AK back of my car as I'm doing the
my
show.
gosh, that's
And
amazing.
and didn't take the, when you see a guy with a ring light in his car sitting in his back seat so that he has room to do the show, you would think he would catch on and say, this isn't an Uber driver. So
That's
just so y'all
funny.
know, it is funny in hindsight.
Did you
but
have to tell him mid-show?
Oh, yes. Oh, I rolled the window down, and I was probably very rude in it. Probably like I literally said, "Can I help you?" Because he literally like bends down, looks like in the front of the window, and I look straight at him and I go, "I'm all right." Like I mouthed that, like I'm good. Like I didn't know if he was checking on me or something like that. And then he
That's
just kind of
awesome.
starts coming around to the side of the car, and I'm like, "Can I help you? Are you my Uber driver?"
I would love to have that guy call in. I would
Listen,
love to talk to that guy.
listen, it's all good now, and I'd love to have him call and tell me what he was thinking too, because he's been there this 2 weeks in a row. This guy has picked up an Uber back there.
Oh,
Like,
you've seen him.
this is the second time in a row, and it's the weirdest thing. It's not a place that you would get picked up by an Uber. Like, you have to specifically ask to be picked up in this place. Like,
That's hilarious.
an Uber driver would have to, like, navigate through the rest of the parking lot to get to this place, and
That's
anyway.
funny. I love that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so y'all all enjoyed that last night and watched me get flustered and a little bit perturbed all at the same moment, because it was like, take the hint.
Yeah,
Anyway.
for real.
All right, folks, we're going to call it a show. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We will be back in the saddle next weekend. Now, let me just tell you this. I am hoping to have some pretty special stuff coming up this next couple weeks here as we round out the home stand of 5 games in a row. So just be sitting still. It won't be as crazy as homecoming. We got thousands of things to put out for you, but we got a few ideas of things we might be trying. So stay tuned, stay connected, subscribed, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. For Austin and myself, we appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and War Eagle.
War Eagle.